The bite. The sky above the frontier plains of Ashfall was the pale orange of late afternoon, the sun dipping low behind the jagged mountain range. Out here, days bled together into work and silence. Eli Grant, 17 and restless, had spent the morning repairing irrigation pipes and the afternoon fixing the solar netting that kept dust from ruining the crops. When his chores were done, he should have gone home. Instead, he slung his hunting spear over his back and wandered toward the forest. The trees here weren't like the ones on Earth, long, narrow trunks, bark shimmering faintly in the light, their leaves whispering in a tone just outside human hearing. The place was quiet, too quiet. He almost turned back when a strange sound broke the stillness, a mixture of static and a high, pained whimper. Instinct pushed him forward. He found her slumped at the base of a tree, one leg twisted under her, silver-blue blood pooling at her side. Her skin was the pale hue of moonlight, her hair a cascade of metallic strands. Even without ever meeting one before, Eli knew she was alien. He'd heard the stories, Kaesari, a proud warrior people who kept mostly to their own territory. She looked up at him with glassy eyes, struggling to speak in broken human. Help! Danger! Near. The underbrush exploded. It came in a blur of muscle, claws, and teeth. A blood beast, the nightmare predator of the frontier. Taller than Eli by 2 heads, its long, narrow muzzle glistened with saliva. Its eyes burned with a feral hunger. Eli had no time to think. He planted himself between the alien girl and the charging beast, gripping his spear with white-knuckled hands. The beast lunged. Eli swung hard, the spear tip grazing its flank. It barely slowed. The next heartbeat was chaos. Claws raked across his shoulder, the force throwing him to the ground. He rolled, barely avoiding the snapping jaws. It came again, faster than he expected. He thrust his spear upward, the tip driving deep into its chest. The beast roared, but instead of falling back, it snapped down and sank its teeth into his forearm. Pain exploded through him, searing, burning, spreading like fire through his veins. He screamed, yanking his arm free in a spray of blood. The world tilted, but rage and survival kept him moving. With a shout, he jammed the spear deeper, twisting until he felt bone give way. The beast shuddered, its weight collapsing on him before sliding to the ground, dead. Eli staggered to his feet, clutching his bleeding arm. His vision swam. The alien girl was still there, trying to crawl toward him despite her injury. Her voice was faint. Bit. Venom, not live. He shook his head. Not dying today. He looped her arm over his shoulder and began the long walk back toward the distant lights of the alien settlement. His legs trembled with each step. The burning in his veins was spreading, his heartbeat hammering louder in his ears. By the time they reached the settlement's gates, tall, black structures lined with glowing runes, figures were already running toward them. The alien guards wore segmented armor, spears tipped with something that shimmered like liquid metal. One of them dropped to his knees beside the girl. "Sarah," he cried, voice trembling. He looked at Eli then, eyes narrowing as he saw the bite wound. Another guard ran ahead, shouting words Eli didn't understand. The gates opened wider, and from within came a towering figure, skin like dark stone, adorned with ceremonial markings, eyes burning like embers. The chief. He reached Sarah in long strides, scooping her into his arms as if she weighed nothing. His gaze fell on Eli, and for a long moment they simply stared at each other, alien leader and human farm boy, both breathing hard. Sarah's weak voice broke the silence. "Father, he saved me." The chief's expression shifted, but not to gratitude. Instead, his gaze went to Eli's arm, where black veins were already spiting outward from the wound. The alien guards exchanged grim looks. One muttered something Eli didn't understand, but the meaning was clear enough in their tone. The chief stepped closer, speaking in precise, accented human. "The beast's venom will kill you. For a human, there is no cure." Eli met his gaze, swaying slightly on his feet. "Then, you'd better find one." The chief studied him for a moment longer before giving a short, sharp order. Two guards moved to either side of Eli, supporting him as his knees buckled. The last thing he saw before the darkness took him was Syrah reaching toward him, her silver-blue blood still staining her clothes. Somewhere, in the haze of unconsciousness, he thought he heard the chief's voice again, low, unreadable. No human has ever survived. But no human has ever done this. The alien chief's dilemma. Eli woke to the sound of voices, deep, resonant tones that made the air in the room hum. He blinked against the dim, blue light and found himself lying on a bed carved from some kind of black stone, cushioned with fez. His arm throbbed, wrapped in clean white cloth. The air smelled faintly metallic, like rain on iron. A shadow moved beside him. It was Syrah. She sat on a low stool, her injured leg bound and splintered, her skin still pale but her eyes alert. "You live," she said softly in her halting human tongue. "That is strange." Before Eli could respond, the heavy door to the chamber opened. The chief stepped inside. Without his ceremonial armor, he looked less like a figure carved from rock and more like a living force of nature, broad-shouldered, every movement deliberate. He stood over Eli's bed for a long moment, as if measuring him. "You are awake." His voice was low, but it carried weight. Eli tried to sit up. Pain flared in his arm. "Guess I am," he muttered. The chief's eyes moved to the dark veins still threading from beneath the bandages. "My healers say the venom spreads. For my kind, it can be drawn out. For yours," he let the silence finish the thought. Syrah broke in. "Father, he saved me. He fought the beast alone. The chief didn't look at her, and he is dying for it." Eli clenched his jaw. "Then fix it. You've got all this alien medicine. There's got to be something." "There is something," the chief said slowly, "but it has never been given to a human." He turned to one of the guards standing in the doorway and gave an order in the Ka language. The guard left quickly. When the chief faced Eli again, his expression was unreadable. "In our law," he said, "a life debt must be repaid with a life of equal worth. You saved my daughter. That debt is greater than most I will ever owe." Eli shifted uncomfortably. "You don't owe me anything. I'd have done it for anyone." The chief's gaze hardened. "Intent does not matter. Debt is debt. To repay you, I must make you one of my people. It is the only way to cure you." Syrah's eyes widened. "Father, you mean?" "Yes." The chief's voice left no doubt. "The Rite of Blood. The transference of Ka essence. It will purge the venom, if it does not kill him first." Eli stared. "You're talking about turning me into one of you." "Not fully," the chief said. "You would remain human in mind and form. But your blood, your strength, your senses, those would be changed. Enhanced. You would carry the mark of my clan until you die." The door opened again, and the guard returned with two other figures, Ka healers, their skin painted with swirling patterns of blue and gold. They carried a sealed urn between them, glowing faintly from within. The chief gestured to it. "Inside is the life of my people. We call it Shakai. In the rite, it will replace the poisoned blood in your body. If you survive, you will stand among us as kin. If you fail, you will not wake again." One of the healers spoke in Ka, and Syrah translated. "They say, even among us, some do not survive. For a human, the chance is very small." Eli's chest tightened. He didn't like those odds, but he liked dying less. "What happens if I say no?" he asked. The chief did not look away. "Then I honor you as you pass, and your people will know your name." Silence filled the chamber. Eli felt Syrah's eyes on him, steady and unblinking. He thought of her in the forest, wounded and still trying to warn him. He thought of the beast's teeth tearing into his arm, of the burning venom creeping toward his heart. He met the chief's gaze. "I'll do it." The chief inclined his head once, like a general acknowledging a soldier. "Then we begin at first light. Rest while you can, human. The rite is not kind." As the chief turned to leave, Syrah leaned closer. Her voice was barely above a whisper. "Eli, thank you." He didn't know what to say, so he just nodded. But inside, he couldn't help wondering, was he agreeing to save his life, or was he walking into something far more dangerous than the beast that bit him? The ritual. Morning in the Kayseri settlement came not with the warmth of sunlight, but with a deep, resonating horn blast that rolled across the walls like thunder. Eli woke with a start, his arm burning worse than before. The black veins had spread past his elbow overnight. His fingers felt stiff, heavy, like they didn't quite belong to him anymore. Syrah entered with a shallow bowl of steaming liquid, the scent sharp and earthy. "Drink," she said. "It will dull the pain." "A little." Eli eyed the bowl suspiciously but took a sip. It was bitter, almost metallic, and left his tongue tingling. "The rite," she added, "is not just pain. It is change. Once begun, it cannot stop." He tried to sound confident. "Good thing I'm bad at quitting." The door opened, and two Kayseri warriors stepped inside, their armor polished to a mirror-like shine. Without a word, they gestured for him to follow. Syrah walked beside him, limping slightly on her injured leg. The Hall of Ancestors stood at the heart of the settlement, a massive stone structure whose walls were carved with scenes of battle, each figure rendered in exacting detail. Torches burned with green flame in iron brackets, casting long shadows. The air smelled of heated stone and something faintly sweet. At the center of the hall stood the chief, flanked by 4 healers. Before him lay a broad, flat altar of black stone, the surface etched with flowing symbols that glowed faintly. "You come to take the Rite of Blood," the chief said, his voice carrying through the chamber. "Once, only the fiercest warriors earned this. Now, a human stands here. You have the courage, but courage alone may not be enough." Eli swallowed hard, but kept his eyes on the chief. "Then I guess we'll find out." The chief nodded to the healers. They opened the sealed urn. Inside, a thick, luminescent liquid swirled, glowing faintly blue. The sight of it made Eli's stomach turn. It looked alive. "Lie down," one healer instructed. Eli climbed onto the altar. The stone was cold against his back. Restraints of woven metal and leather were buckled around his wrists and ankles. He tried to ignore the finality of the sound. The healers began chanting in their language, the syllables sharp and rhythmic. One took a slender blade and made a shallow cut across the bite wound on his arm. Dark, sluggish blood welled up and was wiped away. The chief stepped forward, holding a shallow bronze bowl filled with a glowing liquid. "This is Shakai. It is our blood, our life. It will fight the venom. It will also fight you. Only if you are stronger will you live." Without further ceremony, the chief poured the liquid directly into the open wound. The effect was instant. Eli arched against the restraints as fire raced through his veins. Not the burning of poison, but something hotter, deeper, as if every nerve in his body had been set alight. He gasped for air, but each breath felt thick, heavy. The chanting grew louder. His heart hammered in his chest, then skipped, then slammed back into rhythm twice as fast. His vision blurred, then sharpened until he could see every grain of the stone ceiling above. Memories that weren't his flashed behind his eyes. Warriors charging across alien battlefields, the clash of metal, the cries of beasts he had never seen. He felt the impact of blows, the taste of victory, the weight of loss. The burning spread to his skull, a crushing pressure behind his eyes. His bones ached, stretched, as if they were being reforged from the inside out. His hearing sharpened until the hum of the torches and the pounding of his own pulse were deafening. A voice, not the chief's, not Syrah's, spoke in his mind, deep and resonant. "You are not one of us. Prove you are worthy to carry our blood." He wanted to scream back that he didn't have to prove anything, but his mouth wouldn't work. The pain crested, so sharp it blanked out everything else. His body seized once, twice, then went limp. The last thing he felt before blackness took him was the cold touch of a hand on his forehead and the chief's voice. "He will live, or he will join the ancestors." When Eli opened his eyes again, the torches were dim. Syrah was leaning over him, relief flooding her face. The restraints were gone. "You breathe," she said. "You changed." Eli sat up slowly. His body felt different, stronger. His skin bore faint, shifting patterns along his forearm, glowing for a moment before fading. The bite wound was gone, replaced by a strange mark shaped like the beast's fangs. The chief stood nearby, arms crossed. You are bloodbound now, human. My debt is repaid. But you will learn, blood has its own price. The beast returns. Eli had been awake for only 2 days since the rite, but already the world felt different. He could hear conversations from the far end of the settlement without straining. The metallic tang in the air told him a storm was coming before the clouds gathered. His muscles no longer ached from the venom. They thrummed with quiet strength, like a coiled spring ready to be released. He was still learning to control it. The first time he gripped a spear after the ritual, he'd accidentally splintered the shaft in his hands. The HFY warriors had exchanged wary glances. He wasn't one of them, not entirely, but he wasn't just human anymore either. The uneasy peace broke on the third night. A horn blast split the air, sharper and more urgent than the morning call. Warriors ran toward the walls, weapons in hand. Syrah appeared at Eli's side, her face pale. Scouts saw more blood beasts. Many. Coming here. Eli's chest tightened. How many? She hesitated. Too many. They climbed to the walls. From the watch platform, Eli could see them, dozens of hulking shapes moving in the distance, their eyes glowing red in the darkness. At their head was a beast larger than any he'd imagined, its shoulders crowned with jagged bone spines, its muzzle scarred. The Alpha. The chief stood at the center of the warriors, issuing orders. His gaze found Eli. This is your doing, human. You killed one of theirs. The Alpha comes for vengeance. Eli didn't flinch. Then we end this before they reach the colony. The chief studied him for a moment. You think you can track them? I know I can. A hunting party was formed, HFY veterans armed with spears tipped in shimmering metal, and Eli, carrying a reinforced weapon designed for his new strength. They left the safety of the walls, moving quickly through the dark forest. Eli's senses guided them. Every snapped twig, every shift of the wind painted a clear trail in his mind. He could smell the musk of the beasts, the sharp tang of their blood. The HFY whispered to each other in surprise. No warrior had ever tracked prey this precisely. They found the pack near the edge of a ravine. The Alpha loomed above the others, its gaze fixed on them the moment they appeared. The pack fanned out, growling low. The chief's voice was steady. The Alpha falls, the rest scatter. Can you do it? Eli tightened his grip on the spear. Watch me. The battle erupted in a blur of motion. Beasts lunged from all sides, claws flashing. Eli moved without thinking, his body reacting faster than his mind. He drove his spear through one beast's chest, spun, and kicked another so hard it sailed into the ravine. But the Alpha was cunning. It circled, waiting for an opening. When Eli's focus shifted for a heartbeat, it struck, slamming into him with bone-cracking force. They crashed to the ground, the Alpha's teeth snapping inches from his face. The world narrowed to the fight. Eli jammed the spear upward, but the Alpha batted it aside. Its jaws closed on his shoulder, teeth scraping bone. Pain exploded, but instead of weakness, it brought a surge of strength. With a roar that wasn't entirely human, Eli twisted, forcing the Alpha onto its side. They rolled across the dirt. Eli's hands found the broken shaft of his spear. Without hesitation, he drove it into the Alpha's throat. The beast thrashed, claws raking his side, but he held on until its movements slowed, then stopped. When the Alpha fell still, the rest of the pack hesitated. Then, one by one, they slunk into the shadows, their glowing eyes fading into the night. Eli staggered to his feet, breathing hard. The chief approached, his expression unreadable. You fought as one of us, he said finally. The blood has taken root in you. Eli wiped the blood from his hands. Does that mean I'm sorry now? The chief's gaze was steady. You are human, but you are also bloodbound. That makes you both, and neither. It will make you a bridge between our peoples, or a blade between them. Time will decide. Syrah stepped forward, smiling faintly. And until then, you live. Eli looked out over the quiet forest, the mark on his arm burning faintly in the night air. Whatever he was now, he knew one thing. He wasn't done fighting for either world.